Mysteries of the Abandoned Season 12, Episode 3, takes viewers on a journey across continents and centuries, exploring 4 haunting locations that each hold a unique story of ambition, tragedy, and transformation. The show's mission is to revisit the world's most incredible engineering projects and uncover why places once full of promise and secrets are now left as abandoned ruins. This episode is a perfect example of how history, technology, and human drama intertwine, leaving behind sights that are both fascinating and sobering. The episode opens in Germany, in the sleepy town of Leichen, where a therapeutic country retreat was commandeered for a disturbing goal. The Hohenleichen Sanatorium, founded in 1902 by the German Red Cross, was originally built to treat tuberculosis patients, offering fresh air and spacious rooms far from the polluted cities. Its architecture was beautiful, and for decades, it was a famous place for healing. But as the episode reveals, its history took a dark turn during World War II. Under the influence of the Nazi regime, the sanatorium's function veered dangerously off course. Dr. Karl Gebhardt, a pioneering surgeon and sports scientist, became its director. Gebhardt was a close associate of Heinrich Himmler, chief of the SS, and soon the sanatorium became the first sports medicine clinic in Germany, part of the Nazi vision to create a superior master race. Gebhardt's methods were revolutionary in some ways. He believed in physiotherapy, open air, and physical exercise to treat injuries. He even became chief physician of the 1936 Berlin Olympics, and the facility was the main hospital for Olympic athletes. But after the outbreak of World War II, Hohenleichen was turned into a military hospital, and Gebhardt's operations followed a much darker path. When high-ranking SS official Reinhard Heydrich was injured in an assassination attempt, Gebhardt was called to save him. Skeptical of the new antibiotic sulfonamide, Gebhardt refused to use it, and Heydrich died of sepsis. Facing criticism, Gebhardt was advised by Himmler to conduct human experiments to prove his methods were sound. He used women from Ravensbrück concentration camp, breaking their legs and infecting them with foreign materials, then administering sulfonamide to some and leaving others as controls. The experiments were rigged, and the victims suffered horrific torture and death. In total, 84 women were put through this ordeal, with 21 dying from infection or murder to cover up evidence. Gebhardt's experiments continued, using prisoners to treat amputee soldiers, even attempting to transplant limbs from camp inmates to German soldiers. The Nazi authorities justified these crimes by claiming the victims were racially inferior. The atrocities at Hohenleichen continued until the Red Army defeated the Nazis in 1945, and the Soviets took over the site as an army hospital. After the war, survivors testified against Gebhardt at Nuremberg, and he was executed for his crimes. Developer Max Siegmann is working to preserve the site's history while transforming it into a wellness resort, ensuring that the dark past is never forgotten. Next, the episode shifts to Malaysia, where a massive industrial relic floats in a landlocked waterway. This is the Tanjung Tualang Tin Dredge No. 5, or TT5, a technological heavyweight that helped build a nation. The dredge is a mechanical marvel, with huge buckets designed to scoop valuable tin ore from the ground. Tin mining was central to the British Empire's power in the region, and the TT5 was one of over 50 machines that once dominated the landscape. The episode traces the history of tin mining in Malaysia, from the arrival of the British East India Company in the 1700s to the discovery of large tin deposits in the mid-1800s. The British initially leased mining operations to Chinese immigrants, who produced vast amounts of tin through labor-intensive methods. As demand grew, the British mechanized the industry, building massive dredges like TT5 to maximize profits. Tin was valuable because it resisted rust, and the British exported it worldwide, especially to the United States. The TT5 began operating in 1938, separating tin from waste and pumping out ore with up to 70% purity. Workers were well paid, and their families received education and health care. But war was coming, and the Japanese invasion of Malaya in World War II disrupted everything. The British, unprepared for the attack, lost control of the region, and the Japanese targeted the tin industry for their war effort. After the war, the British rebuilt the mines, but the empire was crumbling, and independence movements gained momentum. Malaya's multicultural population was a powder keg, and the tin industry was caught in the crossfire of the Malayan Emergency, a violent rebellion led by the Communist Party of Malaya. The British responded with military force, but eventually promised independence to win support. In 1957, Malaya gained independence, and by 1976, a Malaysian-owned corporation took control of TT5 for the first time. However, the global tin industry collapsed in the 1980s due to reduced demand and rising costs, and TT5 was retired. Most dredges were dismantled, but TT5 survived and was donated to the state government in 1997 to become a historical site, preserving the legacy of Malaysia's tin empire. The third story takes us to West Texas, near El Paso, where a dilapidated ruin stands as a symbol of hope and hardship. The Rio Vista farm began as a poor farm in 1915, providing shelter and work for the elderly and children. Run by the Oshie family, it became a beacon of hope for those in need. But during World War II, America faced a labor shortage as young men shipped abroad to fight. The government turned to Mexico for help, launching the Bracero program, a temporary worker initiative that brought hundreds of thousands of Mexican laborers to the United States. Rio Vista became the headquarters for the program, processing workers who hoped for a better life. The Braceros were celebrated as soldiers of the fields, but the reality was harsh. They underwent extensive medical tests and were fumigated with toxic chemicals like DDT, which was later banned for being carcinogenic. The workers were treated like animals, sprayed in their hair, ears, and genitals, while officials wore masks and the men had no protection. Many women working in the contract rooms were unaware of the mistreatment. The Braceros were relocated to farms across the country, but exploitation continued. Farmers provided crowded, slum-like housing and deducted charges from paychecks, sometimes leaving workers with only a cent after expenses. The program came under fire for worker abuse, and a tragic accident in 1963, the Chwaler bus crash, killed 32 Braceros and injured 25 more, drawing national attention to their plight. Under pressure, the program was discontinued in 1964, and Rio Vista fell into ruin. Many men remained in the area, and in the 1980s, an amnesty program allowed them to legalize their status after decades without papers. In 2023, Rio Vista Farm was designated a National Historic Landmark, ensuring its story will be told for generations. The Bracero program saved the U.S. economy during World War II, and the men who stayed became citizens, contributing to their communities and leaving a lasting legacy. Finally, the episode travels to northeast Italy, in the shadow of the Alps, where the town of Portis stands as a testament to the fury of Mother Nature. Portis was a centuries-old rural community, proud and thriving, with celebrations and festivals marking the rhythm of life. But on May 6, 1976, disaster struck. A massive 6.5 magnitude earthquake hit, and Portis was just 5 miles from the epicenter. Buildings cracked, people panicked, and the ground trembled for a full minute. Giuseppe Bulfin and his family survived, but 6 people were killed as they tried to escape collapsing houses. Over 150,000 people across the region were left homeless overnight. The government brought in geologists to study the area, and they discovered that a steep-sided cliff overshadowing Portis had been fractured by the quake. Fearing another disaster, authorities declared the town unsafe and ordered residents to leave. The people of Portis resisted, putting up signs demanding their town be reborn. But just 4 months later, a massive landslide sheared off thousands of tons of rock, smashing into the church cemetery and making the town completely uninhabitable. Residents had no choice but to abandon their homes and move to a nearby city. In 1978, the authorities founded Portis Nuovo, New Portis, less than a mile up the road. Many former residents still feel a deep connection to their ancestral homes, tending gardens and keeping the memory of old Portis alive. Mysteries of the Abandoned Season 12, Episode 3, is a powerful reminder of how places can be transformed by history, technology, and nature. Each site tells a story of ambition, exploitation, resilience, and loss. The Hohenleichen Sanatorium reveals the horrors of Nazi medical experiments and the importance of remembering dark history. The TT5 tin dredge in Malaysia shows how industry can shape a nation and how global forces can bring it down. Rio Vista Farm in Texas highlights the struggles and contributions of migrant workers, and the town of Portis in Italy demonstrates the unpredictable power of earthquakes and landslides. Together, these stories offer a window into the mysteries and secrets of abandoned places, urging us to learn from the past and preserve these sites for future generations.